We record documents, which is, I feel, is a person's life. You record their mortgages, their deeds, their marriage certificates, things that really affect people's lives, liens. All the human elements of your life really go through this office. We get all kinds. We record wills, family squabbles over property. Right now we're recording maps and documents for one of the largest industrial complexes in the world, which is the north end of our little bitty county. We have people come to us for just information. We have all kinds of mining activity going on. It's not as much as it used to be. We have people searching for marriage certificates and they can't find them anyplace, and their Social Security depends on them finding that. We have, especially during, I would say from August to about November, this time of the year, we have a lot of people searching their ancestors. Since we're a small office, and there are a few left in the state, we're a dual office, which means we are also the auditor's office, which pays all the county bills, puts out all the payroll. So those two items are very, very busy items. We may be looking at a map 1 minute, and we may be discussing payment of like yesterday, the Division of Forestry's bills. The next minute we might be having something to do with our historic records. It's just, there is no day that's the same. Billy and I got the request for a marriage certificate, and this lady was desperate for her Social Security, and we couldn't find it anywhere. She had checked all of the areas around. She knew that they were married here in Virginia City. And a few weeks later, in searching for something, we ran across, there's a little article in the old papers called Dips and Spurs, and it's just daily gossip. And in that, it said that this couple had gotten married, and we recognized the name, and they'd gone back to Las Vegas on the train. So we thought, well, if they went back to Las Vegas, maybe he was in Las Vegas, and maybe they got the license down there. So we called the lady, and sure enough, she checked, and this was in the 1930s, I think, 30s or early 40s. And so she called Clark County, and there was the certificate. But it was just because we ran across that little article in the newspaper. The ladies who worked for me and myself went through the vault, and we picked out all the books that were physically in bad condition. We didn't pick them for their content, but the books that looked as if they wouldn't last another 10 years, let alone another 50. And then we asked 2 companies to come and look at them. And I chose a company, and I asked, when I asked for the grant, I asked if this company would be acceptable, and it was. And this little book is actually an abstract of mining records. If a title person comes in and searches a piece of property, they will search from this book to this book to this book to this book by searching the indexes. However, it's all been done here. So all they would have to do would be to take this little book, and they could follow this mining claim all the way. It was in pieces in the vault, and Billy and I rescued it. And this was one of the first books we put on the list. All the pages have been deacidified. It's been rebound. It was totally, the cover was gone off of it. In the back, they put this little tag that shows the condition on its arrival and what they actually did to the book. And the paper and covers are exactly the same as they were originally. All the paper in this book has been deacidified. Now, this book was falling totally apart, so it's in very good condition now. This book, I would like to show you the inside of this book. This paper is hand-dipped in Italy, and that's the way it was originally. And so I think it's beautiful. And there are lots of different styles, but that's all the same. That's how it was done. And this is a book of marriages from 1862 to 1879. And we have lots of people that look for the marriages of their families. So it's very important that these books will last another few years. This book is probably it's not in as bad a condition as this one was, but it's getting close. See how the leather is getting, and the binding has been broken. And it would be taken apart totally. All the stringing would be taken out. It would be restrung. The leather would be redone, all the cover. The pages would be all deacidified, and then it would be good enough for another 100 years, hopefully. The material inside is something else. There are some books that have faded beyond reading. Fortunately, the Danberg Foundation did film a good share of the vault in the 60s. So the records that we cannot now read are filmed, and most of them are retrievable. You really don't know anything about yourself, your people, your land, if you don't know the history. I think we think more about it because what we got for history we had to get out of books. Nowadays you have so much history on television every day. You can see places in the world that you would have never seen before if you hadn't had, if you were just reading a book. You wouldn't be able to see it like you see it now. We watch a war in progress nowadays where you had to read about it before. So your mind is filled with the history of now because you see it every day. How do you know the history of before if you don't read about it? Because there was no television, there was no radio. If you read the death records in these old newspapers, because there wasn't anything like that, and the newspapers were the only thing, if someone died or some catastrophic happening happened, there's an article with minute detail of the gory happenings, whatever, because that's the only way that the people could see what had happened or was happening. So the children nowadays see their history every day, and they'll always have that in their mind. But my parents, there was nothing to show them their history or the history of the world or anything unless they read a book, or someone taught it to them out of a book. And that's the only way you would learn what happened before. Most of the older generation on all sides is gone. My mother is one of the few that's left. So when she's gone, I could probably meet half of my relatives on the street and I wouldn't know who they are. So once a generation dies off, everything about that generation will disappear if we don't have the records. She's 98. And she remembers the turn of the century. She remembers when she saw the first car. She talks about her family when they first came to this country. And she has written a lot about that. She is a true history buff. She's a true literary person. And I can remember when I was young and I would read all day long. My mother never said go outside and play, which I would probably do. So I'm sure that she was very instrumental in me loving books like I do, I guess.